What a first night back on trail. Oh, I am loving Oregon thus far. It's got a few mosquitoes, like everybody always says, but they're not bad. The worst they were was like at this golden moment, like when the sun rose, and like just before I could see, I could like barely make out mosquitoes, and there was a swarm of them. But I just like swished them away when I was making my coffee, and one landed in my coffee, but it was kind of funny. I am shooting for 25s through Oregon, if I haven't mentioned that before. There's nobody out here. There's a few day hikers. I ran into like four people coming down the hill right by the highway. It was really weird. One person was just standing in the middle of the trail for like 2 minutes, and I stopped and I was like, what are they doing? And they were just playing with their phone or something. And then another dude with a pit bull was like the keeper of the gate, because I think there's weed operations all over the place up here. That's my Chris theory. Um, but he had a pit bull on the trail, and he opened the gate for me. It was a stock gate, or whatever, like like there's a fence that crosses the trail, and then anyways, um, yeah, a lot of weird activity. There was a guy that the Uber driver that gave me the ride up here he was like an ex-medical professional with like 100 employees, and he has this like he's in AI and intelligence and all this stuff now, and he like gave me his card, and he was just like, "Are you protected?" Because he's like an ex-police officer, but he was like, "Are you protected out there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You got your concealed carry permit?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Don't tell anybody that." And I'm like, "You asked." It was just weird. Cool guy, really cool guy, but um I think there's a lot of probably illegal activity around this area just because the climate. I mean, Oregon's known for like that type of stuff, but and so is California, so is Washington, so is the West Coast. Who cares? Um, yeah, I'm just doing my thing. But the pit bull was crazy. It like started running up the trail at me, and I saw the guy and I saw the gate, and I was trying to process. I'm just like, dog. My mind didn't go to my bear spray. Um, I am rocking this Frontiersman Max bear and cougar big cat spray. So that's nice to have just as a backup. I had a little personal one about this big, and I tested it out, and it was like not effective against anything other than like something small. So really just a lot of different changes in gear. I'm using the big fuel canisters, like it's as big as my head. It weighs at least a pound. I mean, that thing weighs, the small ones weigh 8 ounces. This thing is definitely a 16. So I saved a pound on not bringing a tent, and I'm just doing my Mount Laurel Designs bivy sack. So it zips up, and then it has like this really cool, you can't see it, but it has like this mesh hood that you just like live in. It's like a human burrito sack, and no, like, spiders can crawl across your face at night. No, I gotta get my coffee. I switched coffees, and I'm so glad I did. Um, I love my inflatable Sea to Summit pillow because it has a notch in it, and you can stand it up. But I know I just started saying like 4 different things, but I didn't sleep the greatest. My paranoia is a little up there with like the critters and wildlife, but I only saw one set of deer tracks, which, you know, it doesn't really indicate a large, like, I mean, it could indicate a large predator population, but I would consider a heavy deer population to be, to sustain a heavy like predator population. So the funny thing I never knew about bears is that they're omnivores. My buddy Joe Hewitt was watching his bear video. It was eating grass. Like they forage grass mainly. It's weird. I mean obviously I know that they like rip logs apart and stuff like that and they're like foragers, but they're not just chasing deer down at full speed and just ripping them apart all day every day. There's no way. I mean they would they would decimate the deer population. So really interesting fact about bears. The other thing that was cool I noticed yesterday was I saw a deer that was eating some leaves. And like in Washington, that's, you see deer and they just eat leaves off trees like they're standing. It makes sense for like a positionary, like grazing, that instead of head down, it's head up because it's safer. But I just realized how few times in my life I've ever seen deer eat grass. Your mosquito. They're big too. Yeah. If you think about it, when have you ever seen a deer eating grass? Normally they're eating shrubs. They're eating leaves off shrubs and trees. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like, anyways, that was like part of the benefit of this bivvy design is they said, I Googled it. And I mean, I'd already seen a guy I camped with up at Kernville use a bivvy sack. And he's the reason I bought it. But I wasn't so much concerned about the weight because I was carrying like 35 pounds a lot, through California and stuff. But my back was smoked. It was destroyed. And I didn't know if it was something I was doing or wasn't doing stretching wise or whatever. But I mean, it's common to have really tight, sore muscles out here that you just have to massage and roll out and do constant stuff. I guess I took it for granted, before. So, yeah, the bivvy sack, it says if you Google it, it says it's like connects you with nature. And I mean, I feel pretty connected to nature right now. I mean, I'm sleeping directly, out here. So, yeah, this was a kind of one of the worst actual campsite spots that I've ever seen on Far Out, besides like day one on trail where it said there was sites and then it was just like hardly anything. But it said there was a campsite here, and it's like an open hillside with full of rocks and logs and windy. It's on a ridge top in like I don't know, like a little saddle, I guess you could say. So like the ridge went around this mountain and then there's like this little saddle and then it keeps going around the mountain. Well, I'm like in this gap of trees. So it was the wind was ripping pretty hard, but I got like 50 feet off the top of the ridge down this edge and in this meadow, no wind, zero, like at all. It was nice. It was a perfect spot to stay out of the wind, but Oregon has a heavy amount of dead, what they're called is Fraser fir or white fir, and they rot. All they do is rot. I don't know, they're just highly susceptible to pests and rotting. So they're all over the trail is what I'm saying. There's a ton of tree crossings, which at least they're not like redwoods where you can't like step over them and you have to go around them. I've only had to go around like 2 or 3 in 13 miles, but most of them you can go over. One I had to go under. It was like on a cliff and the tree was like over the cliff, over the trail, down the cliff. You couldn't go down it. You couldn't go up around it. You had to go under the tree because it was way too high above the trail to go over. So I was like trying to dig a hole, not dig a hole, but like shimmy under it. And there was like 3 branches. Like if there's one branch, you could like go around it. There wasn't. There was like 3 right over the trail. They were about that big. So I was able to like, dude, it was sketch. That's how people get hurt crossing logs over trails. jumped over the tree branch. I think I was holding on to or standing on snapped, and I was like, oh, these are brittle enough they break. So when I jumped over, I did some trail maintenance, is what I'm saying, breaking the branches off and just working on getting the path opened up. And somebody else had tried to like cut it with a pocket knife. You could see the chisel marks, and it was. But the benefit you would get from clearing like one log, you could easily get that benefit just from not having a saw. And there's so many logs that are just like 10 feet long that I just pick up and I just huck off the trail. Like, dude, there's so many hazard trees here. Like, Oregon would be a phenomenal section to volunteer for trail maintenance. But yeah, I really am thinking about going back into the forestry industry. I Even if it's just getting a wood stove and just cutting my own firewood. I mean, there's no better heat than wood heat. Bottom line, period. Just to sustain a really simple livelihood, have a gigantic garden that literally I survive off of just like growing my own vegetables, and that's it. That's the goal. Have like a plot that supports itself and just get out of the matrix. Somewhere near water. I have realized I have to be able to visually see water. There's big, huge, gigantic, ocean-sized lakes. Like, I watched this documentary on the Great Lakes and how like this invasive wasn't an eel, but it was like, oh, what's the name of that thing? It looks like an eel, but anyways, it like devastated their fishery up there, and we're talking like hundreds of millions of square acres of lake. But yeah, those lakes are so big they're like an ocean. You can't see the other side. But I don't know. I don't know where that's gonna be, but it definitely could be somewhere in Oregon, in Central Oregon, because I love Oregon. My daughter was born in Oregon. My son was born in Oregon. I lived in Oregon for years when my kids were little, and I love it here. So there's definitely some thinking to do about that. But yeah, this is going to be a really, really phenomenal 23 more days. I had started with 490 miles, 95 miles of Oregon, and I'm already down 13. So I'm just counting down. It's going to be a great state on the PCT. I love you guys. I will keep you posted. It's great. I've had signal, so I was able to get a call out last night and text, and just yeah, it's great. Oh, that was the point of my video. My watch is amazing. It has a few settings I don't like. Like I wish the map was on the first screen instead of the last screen. So I have to hit OK twice, and then I have to scroll down 3 times just to get to the map. So it's like 5 button presses to see where I'm at. And then the map times out after like 2 minutes. So it goes power saving mode, and then it vibrates like every 10 seconds as it's like winding down in its power saving mode. Super annoying. Garmin needs to change that. I need to call them and see if they can reprogram it, or I can reprogram it. There's a lot of hidden sub menus in this watch, and it's really cool. It just woke me, well, it didn't wake me up, but it says, good morning, would you like your morning report? And it has weather, and it has all this stuff on it, dude. It's like so integrated to the other hikers, like Garmin Messenger and stuff. I was like messing around in one of the screens, and there was a QR code. Damn mosquito. Just landed right on my knuckle. There was a screen, and I took a picture of the QR code, and boom, I'm on Garmin Messenger. So really stoked on my watch. I just absolutely love it. I already used it. It already saved me a bunch of side steps. There was a trail that split, and the main trail was the PCT, and so I stayed on it. And then it started going up this hill that was steeper than the PCT should be. And I'm like, I'm gonna look down at my watch and just check. So I went into my menu, I checked my map, and I was definitely off a side trail. But it was weird because like I said, it was the more foot traffic trail. So I was like, what the heck? Dude, sweet. This thing totally just saved me an unnecessary side mission. And so that's exactly why I got it. I saw the first guy I saw use his. He showed me why they're so good. The navigation is super fast once you get into the map. But far out, I referenced it a few times, like looked at it just to see elevation or some crap like that, just to see, I was trying to look up what mountain was nearby, and I think it's Mount Shasta. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous mountain. Um, but anyways, that's it. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Love you.